Homework number 2. The first topic is two-step equations. When solving a two-step equation, you always start by clearing the constant first, right? This is the variable. Any number that is multiplying or dividing the variable is the coefficient, so that means that this one over here is the constant. You clear a constant by using an inverse operation. So if this is plus, then you're going to use a minus. So the first step for us is going to be to subtract 29 from both sides. So you can use a handheld calculator or you can compute mentally, but I'm going to start showing you how to use an online calculator because the topic after this is going to get a bit more sophisticated. So I'm going to ask you to open up a new tab in your browser and search for Desmos Calculator. You can search by either typing it into a Google search bar or up here in the URL address. So Desmos Calculator, and we're going to use the scientific one. There's also a graphing one, but we're going to use the scientific one because we're not going to be doing any graphing with Desmos this year. So when you open this calculator, you'll see a giant keypad down here, and you'll also see this fraction button in the upper right, which will be helpful for questions that we move on to after this section. So anyways, for us, we're going to calculate 42 minus 29, right? I'm using this keypad here, and there's my answer, 13. So I'm going to go back to my question, and I'm going to rewrite it this time. And it will be that 13 is equal to negative x divided by 7. So I want to get x by itself, and there are two things I need to get rid of. I need to get rid of dividing by 7 and this negative sign. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this negative sign and I'm just going to move it next to the 7 so that I can get rid of them both at the same time. The inverse of dividing by negative 7 is multiplying both sides by negative 7. That eliminates the coefficient from the x, and now I can compute my math over here on the left. So it's negative 7 times 13. So I'm going to use that Desmos calculator online again. I'm going to clear everything out, and the negative button on Desmos is the subtraction key. So negative 7 times 13, and it's negative 91. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to type negative 91 and submit my answer. Again, you clear the constant first. So for us, it's 16. And then second, you do the coefficient. So the opposite of dividing by 4 is multiplying by 4, and that gives us an answer of y is equal to 8. So we'll type that in our answer box, and we'll keep going. So I'm going to move on to the second topic now, which is where the equation won't be given to you. The second topic is a tape diagram model. In the tape diagram model, they're going to show you the final answer right down here. So that means the entire model is equal to 33. And then we can translate what's shown here as a constant and two variables. So I have 31 plus 2y figures. And now I can simply use my inverse operations to compute. Subtract my constant from both sides, rewrite, 33 minus 31 is 2. And then my final step, divide both sides by the coefficient, and use a calculator if you need to. But your steps are to write the total and then translate the picture into an algebraic equation. So we'll type our solution in here, which is 1, and we'll try one more problem. Again, my sum is 50, that's my answer, and my tape diagram has 2 W's and an additional 39. Now we simply clear the constant, And next we're going to rewrite. 2w's is equal to 11. And then here we're going to divide. Now for you, you may not know what 11 divided by 2 is, and you have a couple of options. You can leave the answer in fraction form. That's the easiest option. Simply type 11 division bar and 2. Or you can use an online calculator like Desmos to compute 11 divided by 2. And it will give you the decimal equivalent. So I'm going to leave it as a fraction just to see if it accepts it, because why do that extra work if I don't need to? And it does. It accepts that answer, 5.5 or 11 over 2. One more time. The tape diagram has a solution of 14, and it looks like it has just 2 x's here. Simple math, divide both sides by 2, and get our final answer. All right, we're going to move on to the third topic now. Two-step equations with decimals. Now for this one, the calculator is going to be much faster for you. So I strongly encourage you to either open a Desmos calculator online or to take out your handheld calculator if you have one. So again, we're going to start off with our first inverse operation of the constant. So we're going to add 2.5 to both sides and then rewrite. 27, 29. Then we're going to multiply both sides by 0.1. And then we're going to get our final answer. So let's see, 29 times 0.1. Let's put that in our online calculator. And we get 2.9. So we're going to type 2.9 here and submit our answer. One more time. I have a 1.1 here. This symbol belongs to the 0.5. It does not belong to the 1.1. So be careful, because if there was a minus sign here, it wouldn't be plus 1.1. All right, so the symbol for 1.1 is in front of it. And if you don't see anything, then it's a plus sign. So the inverse for us is going to be minus 1.1 on both sides. Rewrite. Pick up your calculator, which is 0.5 minus 1.1. 0.5 minus 1.1. And we get negative 0.6. Negative 0.6. So when I rewrite, I get negative 0.6. And now I'm going to multiply both sides by my coefficient. Negative 0.6 times 0.5. Back to my calculator. Negative, which is the subtraction sign here, negative 0.6 times 0.5. And I get negative 0.3. Type it in your answer box and submit. All right, let's move on to the third topic. Two-step equations with fractional coefficients. I strongly urge you to use a calculator for this one. All right, just like with our homework from last week, we're going to clear our constant first. Now remember, the inverse is in front. The inverse operation you choose has to be whatever is the opposite of what's in front of 3, not what's after 3. That doesn't belong to the 3. So I have a positive 3 here, so the inverse would be negative 3. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides of my equation, and I'm going to rewrite. 22 is equal to negative 2/7 c. Now if you remember from last week, you can write the opposite of multiply is divide, but we don't typically divide by fractions. We multiply by the reciprocal, so negative 7/2, instead of dividing by negative 2/7. So this negative 2 and this 2 and this 7 and this 7 will cancel. And now all I have to do is pick up my calculator and multiply negative 7 halves times 22. Negative 7 halves times 22. So I'm going to use this Desmos calculator, and I'm going to type -7, and then I'm going to press this fraction button right over here. Okay, I wanted my -7 in the top though, so I'm going to clear that and press the fraction button first this time. So I can have my -7 in the numerator and my 2 in the denominator. So I'm going to click down here, and now I've got to click outside of the fraction, right? Because I'm going to multiply it by 22. And there's my answer, -77. Type it in your answer box and submit. Let's try this again. The constant is here. The opposite of plus 24 is minus 24. And we're going to get 15 is equal to 5/7 C. Instead of dividing by 5/7, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. You can certainly pick up that calculator and you could multiply 7/5 times 15. If you wanted to do it mentally, you could also do 15 divided by 5 first. 15 divided by 5 is 3, and then do 7 times 3 to get 21. Or you just go to the Desmos calculator and you type 7/5 times 15, which is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to clear everything out, click my fraction button, and it was 7/5, so 7/5, click out of my fraction button, or click the right arrow button, times 15. And I get 21, exactly what I thought. All right, let's try this one last time. So I'm going to subtract 23 from both sides, giving me 21 is equal to 7/12 Z. And then to clear a coefficient that's a fraction, we multiply by the reciprocal. So flip that fraction over. So 12/7 times 21. 12/7 times 21. Clear this. Fraction button. 12/7 times 21. 36. All right, let's move on to the next topic. The final topic is solving linear equations with distribution. In this topic, you're going to have to get rid of these parentheses before you can start solving those two-step equations we've been working on. And you do that by multiplying this outside number here, known as the coefficient, times each item or term inside the parentheses. So 4 times z is 4z. And 4 times minus 2 is minus 8. The rest of this math will be the same as before. Clear the constant, rewrite the problem. Clear the coefficient, and solve the problem, using a calculator if you need to. Let's try one more. Again, you distribute by multiplying the coefficient outside times each of the terms on the inside, and as soon as the parentheses close, you stop. You stop multiplying as soon as you hit the end of that grouping symbol. From there, you solve using your two-step inverses. Subtract 12 from both sides, rewrite, divide both sides by the coefficient, rewrite, and you're done. One last time. 3 times 4x's is 12x. 3 times minus 8 is minus 24. And you stop multiplying there. Clear your constant. Rewrite. Divide by your coefficient. And rewrite. And you're done. That concludes homework number 2.